We're live.
We're here. Hello.
Hello.
You don't take the.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. Thank you for taking time out to come and interview Dave. So, for those that don't know, this is Dave. He's host of the Flat Earth podcast. Obviously, the name itself says it. So, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, your story?
My story is I was a normal guy. Had my own company, doing the normal things to do to make it in life, and I was doing a podcast on the side that talked about conspiracies, things, deceptions in our world. I don't even like calling them conspiracies because they're just deceptions. And then Flat Earth was presented to me, and I laughed it off. I banned people from our social media for even suggesting it. And then I looked into it with the purpose of just proving it nonsense. And that's how you become a flat earther.
So, David, what were your views before the flat earth, nonsense that you believed?
Same as everything else. My people don't even understand what their beliefs are. My beliefs were the same as everyone else. And here's what your belief is. Most people don't even know it. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, turned into everything. And then all of the rocky bits turned into balls, and all of the gases turned into bigger balls because of this magical force named gravity. And then it left a vacuum in between. So now we have gas balls floating in a vacuum with magical gravity holding on to rocky balls. That's the beginning of what you believe. Then you believe that you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, that's faster than the speed of sound. You're orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Funny number. And you're chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles per hour. Okay, that's what I believe. Okay. I also believe that we evolved from pond scum and we turned into worms and then into fish, into rats and into monkeys. And then a monkey had a defective baby and it was a human. Right? That's what you believe. If you believe we live on a ball, because all of that goes along with the ball belief, right? All of this flying through an infinite space vacuum. This is a cartoon of nonsense.
All right. Well, the thing is, there's the usual debates about flat Earth and whether Earth is flat or not, and obviously, one of the debates will be probably different time zones. So, how do you explain obviously the different time zones in the world, for example? Because obviously, if the Earth was flat, they would suggest that every time zone would be the same.
Well, that's just a misunderstanding. There really is no debate because the only debate is the misunderstanding of what you think flat Earth is. Okay. And the whole time zone thing makes zero sense on a globe. Well, it kind of makes a little sense on a globe, except that you can't live on a globe. As I'm trying to bring this up so I can show you guys.
So what do you live on?
We live on a flat, non-rotating plane. For example, the Earth, the flat Earth, the thing is, people laugh at flat Earth. And if I thought flat Earth was what non-flat Earthers think flat Earth is, I would laugh at it too, right? Because it's ridiculous. We don't live on a disk floating through infinite space. We don't live on something like this. This is what non-flat Earthers think flat Earthers think. We don't think that. No one thinks that. We don't think that we're a disk floating in a heliocentric with ball planets. We don't believe that the other planets are flat. We don't even believe in planets when the truth comes to it. So the bottom line is, what is the flat Earth if it's not a disk floating in space? And the answer is, the flat Earth is like a giant lake. If you think of all the world's oceans as a lake, you have all these islands, the continents, they're surrounded by water, but all of the water needs a container because large bodies of water at rest need a container. Like if you had a bathtub and you got rid of the bathtub, the water's gone. If you had a lake and got rid of the edge of the lake, all the water is just going to disperse. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It is the land that surrounds the world pond. It is the edge of our pond. Right? Antarctica is not an island at the bottom of a spinning ball in an infinite impossible space vacuum. Antarctica is the land that surrounds the pond. And Antarctica is the highest land on Earth because we live in the Antarctic basin, right? So that's what Antarctica is. That's what the flat Earth is. And what was your question was about time zones. So
yeah,
I'm just going to stop you right there real quick. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I'm turn the camera real quick.
Okay.
Just want to introduce myself. I'm the producer of the podcast. My name's Tiger. I used to be a flat earther as well. Through and throughout, 100%, no doubt in my mind, the Earth is flat. And I used
Interesting.
to go around telling people, yeah, the Earth is flat, 100%. However, there are a couple things that you cannot deny that you can see just with your eyes in a camera.
Well, I'm going to show you. I guarantee whatever you're going to tell me, I'm going to show you something that you haven't seen before. But go ahead, tell me what you got.
But the reason why I stopped you at the time zones is because the time zones make a lot of sense on a flat Earth. There are a lot of things that make so much sense on a flat. That's why I believed it myself, because the Earth makes sense in a lot of ways if you see it as a flat plane.
So you're right. There's 3 baskets. Works on a flat Earth. Lots of things work on a flat Earth. Works on a flat Earth and a ball Earth. Lots of things like time zones work on both. And then works only on a ball Earth. That basket's empty. I have not seen anything in it. I'm offering a Bitcoin for anybody that can put something in that basket. Go ahead.
Well, that was the thing which got me to stop believing in the flat Earth. What got me started in the first place was the whole Antarctica thing, because Antarctica on a round Earth, to me, or not a round Earth, a sphere, doesn't make much sense. The fact that there's an Antarctic treaty and all that, like, that's fishy to me. I'm like, something's going on there, innit? That's what got me started. But
good start.
The evidence for me that the Earth is not flat, for me, is the stars. If you look how the stars move, to me, that can't happen on a flat plane. The fact that when you're in the North Hemisphere, they all rotate around Polaris, and then when you go to the Southern Hemisphere, they all rotate around, well, not a single star, but they all rotate as well. That's what got me, that doesn't make sense on a flat plane.
Well, so that's where, that's where the problem with globe believers, you're looking up at the sky to figure out, you're looking at your ceiling to figure out the shape of the floor. You're looking at the motions in the sky, which you can't verify what's going on up there. If there's a dome, which most of us do believe, even if just water vapor in the atmosphere, everything changes. For example, if we're looking up and, we believe that there's a domed sky, right? And some people believe that it's glass. We also believe that space is water. Well, when you got a curved dome and water involved, crazy things happen to what you're actually seeing, right? What direction are those arrows facing, right? You're looking through 2 different mediums. And when I move that glass, what is the arrow going to do? If I move that glass, watch what happens to the arrow. It takes off ahead of it. Okay. So when you're looking up at the sky, trying to figure out the shape of the Earth, you're deluding yourself. So another thing is, just visualize this. You're standing here and there's a big spinning disc of stars in front of you. They're spinning around. You're in the Northern Hemisphere, which you guys are. You're looking at the North Star, and the stars are going, which way do they go? Counterclockwise, whatever. They're going from your left shoulder to your right shoulder. Okay. They're spinning around like this, right? They're spinning around like this. They're going from my left shoulder to my right shoulder. If I turn around, they're going from my right shoulder they're going from my left shoulder to my right shoulder. They've just changed directions. And all I did was face in a different direction, right? If I'm in the Southern Hemisphere looking up towards the equator, or in the Northern Hemisphere looking up towards the equator, one way the stars are coming this way, clockwise, and one way they're going this way, counterclockwise. Okay. You're just not orienting yourself to understanding why they're going the other way. There's also another reason why they go a different way, because the way we see the sky is we see it through our personal atmospheric dome of vision, and everything that we see going from left to right could be going from right to left, but we're just seeing the reverse image of it. And in my app, which I'll show you, there's videos called under the frequently asked questions, what about Southern star rotation? Whole bunch of videos showing you exactly what I'm talking about. A globe believer made this model in whatever program I used, showing how we all see the stars. And it shows you how even in Australia, where you're underneath the Tropic of Capricorn, stars could set, the sun could set south. In a flat Earth model, if you're looking at it without the dome of vision, there's no way the sun could set southwest. It would have to set either west or northwest. But the way we see, and I can't really describe it. You have to just see it. Once you see it, once you understand, because this is a glass dome on a rug here, and I'm moving a light straight across, and inside of it, I see this little sun, and this is the path that the sun takes, and the sun never sets. It just goes down to the edge, and then it stops and it fades out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Like there's a lot of things in the flat earth which I still think make sense. Like I'm not a believer one way or other. I'm an observer. I observe things, right. And if they're true, they're true. For me, the stars still, even with the explanation that you just gave, doesn't make any sense. Because if you're in the northern hemisphere, you see them spin around the northern star. If you're in the equator, they go round and round like you're in the equator. And then when you're in the southern hemisphere, they spin also. That makes complete sense on a sphere Earth. That is something that you can't deny. But me and you right here can't deny if you want a spherical
actually
Earth, the stars would look like that.
Yeah, well, we can show you with a domed sky what really happens. And the same thing that you would see at the equator where the stars are going straight over and then to the left they're spinning one way and to the right they're spinning the other. We model that on a flat Earth and we get the same exact thing. This is something that works in both. A lot of people have a hard time seeing it. I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of videos in the what about the southern star rotation, which I'll show you. Let me just pull it up. You guys have seen my app, right? Yeah. So this is the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. I'm going to go into the frequently asked question mark, and it's loading because I just loaded the app. Southern star, and moon rotation. All right. These are videos that they're hiding from you. Okay. So we're making this is showing you a star rotation. This is what we see. And then we're going to show you it in a, let me just speed it up a little bit just because not to waste a lot of time watching videos. So we're showing you, this is your personal dome of vision. And when we move stars over it, we get this counter rotating polar thing on both sides. And we're just moving lights over it. Okay. So what you're seeing, the optics of the sky, are no way to determine the Earth. I mean, you're ignoring the fact that we can see too far, the fact that we're not spinning, twirling, whirling, and corkscrewing through an infinite impossible vacuum just because you can't explain why the stars are turning in a different direction. Well, I just showed you how they're turning in a different direction.
Well, that makes sense if there's a dome over your head, but if you go to the north side of the sphere or whatever you want to call it, if you go to the north side, they spin a certain way. If you go to the south, they spin a certain way. If in the middle, they spin a certain way.
Just like I showed you.
If there was a dome over your head.
All right. So here's the thing. You say there's no dome. I say there's a dome. Neither of us can prove it.
I'm not saying there is or isn't. I'm just saying from what we can observe.
All right. So if there was, your observations make sense on a flat Earth. Okay. If there wasn't, then there might be another explanation or they don't make sense. The point is, neither of us can prove it. So why are you using that to bring yourself back to the ridiculous ball model?
I don't bring myself to any model. I'm
all right.
I'm very impartial.
I'll take it.
I just look and for what it's worth, I commend you for what you're doing, because I think everyone should exercise this mental type of thing of thinking for yourself rather than just being fed information and taking it for what is for face value.
Right. So what I'm saying is, you said that you used to be a flat earther. I assume that you meant you're now a globe earther. Now you're just I don't know.
No, I'm not a globe. I was a globe earther before I was a flat earther. Now I'm just kind of like, you know what? The evidence for me is pointing more towards a globe.
Well, the evidence, you haven't shown me any evidence yet. I just showed you evidence that the southern star rotation can happen perfectly on a flat Earth. You're saying neither of us know. I don't count any of that as evidence. I don't say, look at the lights in your ceiling and tell me what shape the floor is. Okay. You know, if you have a disco ball in your ceiling spinning around, it has nothing to do with the shape of your floor.
I wouldn't say that has nothing to do. I mean, even in your explanation, it's got something to do with the shape of the.
Are these stars going in the same direction or in a different direction? Because they're going in the same direction. It's just you're facing south, you're facing north. You've turned around. This is all on a flat Earth. There's corpuscular rays and anti-corpuscular rays or anti-rotation.
That doesn't happen if you turn around. If you turn around, that's not going to happen. If you go to the other side of the sphere, then that will happen. But not if you just turn around.
Absolutely, if you turn around. If you have a plane, is a whole bunch of planes are flying in front of you, and they're flying from your right shoulder to your left shoulder. A whole bunch of planes. There's a whole row of planes flying from your right shoulder to your left shoulder. You turn around, They're now going from your left shoulder to your right shoulder.
But it's not about the it's not about the side they're rotating around. It's not about the clockwise or anti-clockwise. It's about when you go to the other side, the fact that they're rotating at all shows that it's a sphere. It doesn't matter about anti-clockwise, clockwise. It's just the fact that if you're at the bottom of a ball, you're going to see it spin around a certain point.
That's if you were on a ball, but you're assuming we're on a ball. Okay,
I'm not assuming. I'm just saying. I'm saying it doesn't make sense if you're on a flat plane, but if you're on a ball, then it does make sense. That's all.
So you're saying that you don't understand that it makes perfect sense on a flat plane.
I don't at all, and I don't understand at all.
Right. So
and
that's something you need to look into. Look into the personal atmospheric dome of vision. There's tons of videos on that. Southern Star rotation. It's all there. You can look at it and then you can understand it, or maybe you can look at it and not understand it.
If you're going to be preaching the flat earth, you can't just say, look at a video.
What I'm saying is I'm looking at an explanation for what you don't understand. I can explain it in a video, and then you can go test it yourself. Don't believe anything you see in a video. Look at it and go, that looks legitimate. Let me go test it myself. These are all things that you can test yourself.
I've done exactly that. That's why I'm at the conclusion I'm at now, because I've seen myself, the stars rotating around a certain point in different hemispheres. And that's something that I've seen. I've seen so many flat earth videos, but I haven't tested it in real life. That's the one thing I've done in real life that I can test. And for me, that doesn't make sense on a flat earth.
You don't understand it. It makes sense to me. So we can move on. Do you want to talk about time zones, or do you guys get time zones?
My question would be, is why would any, like, government or anything be trying to hide the fact that the earth is flat? That's my question. That's
it's a great question.
And because for me, because I'm not as well versed as Vegan or Tiger. Yeah, I would say I know the least about this stuff. But mine would be, what is there to hide if the flat was?
So they want you to believe that you evolved from pond scum, that you're flying through an infinite universe on a speck where an asteroid could take you at any moment. They want to keep you in fear through all of the propaganda on the television. We're going to be blown up by Kim Jong-un with his nuclear bombs, which don't exist. They're trying to make you believe that we're running out of fuel, we're global warming, we're running out of food, we're running out of water. There's an imaginary bug that's killing everybody that kills less people than the flu did. They want you living in fear so you don't use your true potential. But the truth of this world is that you are at the center of creation, that this place was created intelligently for us, that nobody has dominion over us, that our minds, our thoughts create our reality. And the proof of that is every single thing, everyone that's listening and you guys have in your life is because of the way that you think. You can have your life any way you want. It's just the way that you think. And that's what manifests in your life. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that they don't have any power over us. All the tyranny that's going on in the world right now is in everyone's head. It doesn't really exist, but people believe it. So people do the things that they're told to do, when in reality, they don't have to do any of that thing. Right. So it's really a spiritual war on who we are, how we got here, what we are, and the power of our minds. It's literally like the Matrix with Neo at the beginning of the movie. He is lost. He's depressed. He can't figure out what's wrong with the world. And then by the end of the movie, he's taken back. He's unplugged from the Matrix spiritually or physically or whatever you want to look at it. And he figured out who he is, where he is, what he is, and the power of his mind. And he took his life back, and he found out, how to live his best life. So the question of why, it's the most important why ever. The answer to that is the number one thing that the elite have to control our minds. If you believe that you are on a spinning ball lost in space and there's nothing else to to find, then you are a prisoner. As a matter of fact, where slavery never ended, they just expanded it to everybody. Everybody works their whole life until they retire, if they have enough money and any health left, to enjoy it for the tiniest little bit, when the truth of the matter is, this world is more. If they put a fence around us anywhere, then everyone would freak out, because humans don't like being fenced in. We always want to see what's on the other side of the fence. So instead, they put us in a prison.
Pretty much have, to be honest.
Well, they put us in a prison for our minds, and that prison is the globe. What if there was more land beyond Antarctica? What if there was extra territory beyond Antarctica, right? With other oceans and other worlds. That would be territory, extraterrestrials. They'd come from the outer space can come visit us on the inner space. Okay. What if there was a lot more land? Other suns were out here, other worlds, more advanced worlds are out here. What if there were other puddles beyond there? Okay. The fact of the matter is there's a simple way to prove the earth is a ball. The Antarctica is 13,000 miles around. We could finish this in one day. 2 airplanes. You fly from Santiago over here. They have a base over here. They refuel the planes, and one plane goes counterclockwise, one place goes clockwise, and you just fly over the ocean, just keeping the shoreline in view the whole time. You just have to follow the shoreline. 6,500 miles later, they should meet over here, but no one will ever do it. 1, they won't allow you to do it. 2, it can't be done because it's much longer. The last person that tried this in a boat was Captain Cook, and took him over 3.5 years. He went over 60,000 miles. The equator, which is a smaller circle here, is only 24,000 miles around, 25,000 miles. He went 60,000 miles. Okay. Took him 3.5 years. Why is that? How come nobody has ever done a southern circumnavigation? You say, well, somebody has done it, right? Well, a bunch of years ago, there was a guy named the ZQ pilot, and he was going to go for the Guinness Book of World Records the first time to southern circumnavigation, which can't be done on a flat earth. So we're like, all right, bring it. And he went from the North Pole to Alaska to California to Hawaii to the Philippines, wherever this is over here, to Santiago. Then he went to the South Pole. The weather was too bad, so he turned around, came back, went up through Brazil, East Coast, and back. And we're like, okay, well, he had to turn around, so that was a fail, right? Guinness Book gave him the world record for southern circumnavigation. And everyone goes, there's people have southern circumnavigated. This is what he did. He went here. He went up and around on a flat earth. He touched the goalpost, and then he turned around. That's like me saying, my road is a circle. My straight road that I live on is a circle. And if I go that way, I'll end up over here. And to prove it, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to touch the goalpost, and I'm going to turn around and go over there. And that proves that my road is a circle. This is nonsense. People are brainwashed, and anybody that thinks the earth is a ball, I don't want to say they're out of their mind. They're just not thinking. Their minds have been captured with propaganda.
So, like, how would you explain, for example, obviously the moon landing? Obviously, they could see the earth would be round from there since they've traveled it. So how would you explain that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I'm trying to pull up a quick video for you.
Actually,
what's that?
I heard about this story. Didn't they fake the moon landing or something? There's proof that there's
let's before we just call. We don't want to just call things fake. You know, we want proof that they're being faked. And I'm going to ask you guys
allegedly.
Listen, I want to give them every benefit. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to show you any proof because you'll just say it's fake, right? And that's not what I'm doing. So if I could find my friggin' video, I'd be very happy. Here's the question: if NASA got caught faking a rocket launch or faking something floating on the International Space Station, which I call the International Fake Station, you could unwind that all the way to we didn't go to the moon. Here's a question: real or fake? Is this a scene from South Park, or is this a scene of the moon rise from the moon, the Earth rise from the moon? So... What's that?
I don't watch South Park, so I can't really answer that.
I do. That doesn't look real.
Okay, this is presented as real. This is presented to the world as real. Okay, I can do this with a paper cutout of the Earth, a dark room, and a piece of cardboard. Okay, and a stick. I can just raise the moon. Okay, you're filming it. Good. It's the dumbest thing ever. Okay, this is what they show us as real. Right. So let's just destroy NASA, right? And people say, well, if NASA was in on it, wouldn't the Russians tell on us, and wouldn't the Japanese and the Chinese? Well, they're all in it together. This is all one. The separation of countries is just a way to divide us. See? Because if we're all together as a united world, like Tataria was, then we rule the world. But if they divide us by countries, they divide us by regions, by races, by sexes, by sports teams, by political parties, but now they've divided us physically and they're hiding our faces. They're taking away our humanity. They're taking away.
Who's they? Who is they?
They are the international bankers, the royal families, the people that are actually pulling the strings and running the world. The people that everyone believes they have to bow down to. People are bowing down to Fauci, who is a criminal, who is a fraudster, who's been exposed with his AIDS hoax, and the whole world is bowing down to him. And Bill Gates, Mr. Non-medical. He doesn't have a medical background, but he's dictating, what's going on in this world. People are insane because they just believe anything. So back to NASA. All right. First, the other day, the Chinese landed a rover on Mars. This is the only proof that they landed a rover on Mars. Come on, guys. That's fake, but they are clapping. Must be real. Okay. Look, they're clapping. Has to be real. As a matter of fact, it gets worse than this. They're going to be hugging soon. So when they hug, it's real, right? This is how people's minds are controlled. Look, hugging has to be real. Okay. This is Elon Musk, SpaceX. You heard of him, right?
Fuck
This
Elon Musk.
is this thing weighs millions of pounds. This thing weighs millions of pounds. Now use your minds here. Look at this thing going up. This is a helium balloon. Okay, this is a balloon, and some of the stuff you're seeing is CGI, but this thing is going up. Now, look, we have a side view. Okay, you can figure out the angle. Now, watch. We still have a kind of a side view here. This thing's going up. It's not even reached the clouds, but now look how high it is. How are we having a side view like that when it's this high? Ready? Look how high it is. How are we getting this side view? Now, this thing is now falling. It still has fuel in it. It weighs at least 40 tons or 20 tons, whatever, 40,000 pounds or more. It's falling out of the sky. Look at this smoke coming off of it. The smoke is rising. This thing is floating. This thing is barely even moving. Look how high it is all of a sudden. Okay. This is the onboard camera. And how are we getting this little beautiful side view? This thing's falling. It should be falling at 1,000 miles an hour, but you can see the smoke is just breezing off of it. Okay, now watch. Now it's going to light the 3 engines. Somehow the camera is going to get underneath it, right? This is just dramatic movie effect. Who the hell is underneath this thing? Now, two of the engines are going to go out, and this little fire, look how slow it's moving. You can tell by the smoke, is going to land upright, and watch all this CGI smoke. Where did that come from? What is it? Super dusty runway? This is bullshit, and people just eat it up. So now that's SpaceX. Let's talk about NASA. Well, here's another one. This is a SpaceX rocket, not real. You remember when they put Tupac on stage, the hologram of Tupac, a decade ago or longer, right? This is a hologram. We found, we were looking at pictures of NASA's property and we saw these big lights. Well, look at these spotlights, and we actually could zoom in and we saw the nameplate. And we looked, and it's from a holographic projection company. Like, what are these funny looking weird lights, right? But sometimes things go wrong with the hologram. Watch right here, okay? Sometimes projections don't work perfectly, okay? And this happened live, and they couldn't fix it. They took down the video, but we already downloaded it. This is a hologram. Why are they faking rocket launches, right? So so let's jump to the space station. Oh, let's go on the moon landing. Well, I'll go to the moon landing first. Answer me this. If this guy isn't hanging from wires, how come he can't pick up his hammer when he drops it? He drops his hammer. Oh, there's his hammer. And he can't pick it up because he's got wires going up, I think, to a big helium balloon that's just keeping him almost weightless, right? And
well,
he can't.
To be honest, I've never been to the moon, so I can't already answer that question.
Right, but look at this. This is ridiculous. The stuff that they do on the moon, it's insanity. It's insanity to believe any of this. I mean,
but nobody knows what it's supposed to look like. That's the biggest problem. And I'm not saying, first of all, I'm not saying that there hasn't been fakery with NASA and the moon landing. Like, I've seen plenty myself, but you can't like the argument. I just think in terms of flat Earth, we should be talking about NASA because it's other people. You can always say, "Oh, it's true, it's not." We should just be looking at real, tangible evidence.
How about this? How about common sense? This is the moon lander. Okay, look at this. Does that look like a spaceship or a 5th grade art project with paper mache, tin foil, fluorescent tape, I mean, look at this.
I've got no clue. I don't know what a spaceship is supposed to look like, my bro.
Look at
Like,
this.
literally.
How about this? Can I put the three of you in this thing and then submerge it underwater? Because it's a spaceship, so you should be fine. I mean, this thing's made out of curtain rods. Look at this thing. They even admitted that the walls on this thing are paper thin and that they could put their foot right through it. Well, how does that hold in pressure? I mean, come on, guys. You can't say, I haven't been there, I'm not a scientist. You're giving away your common sense for complete and total nonsense, right? How about this? On the space station, the International Fake Station, I call it, first, this is the lander that came back up to connect with the orbiter. This is a spaceship, okay? This thing is coming back up to orbit. There's two grown men in here, right? Look at this thing. This is a crappy little model in a dark room with a movie of this going by, whatever the heck that is. It's nonsense, right? So going back to the International Space Station, right? If they're faking things floating on space, then you could unwind the entire thing. They would, if they were in 0G, they would never need to fake anything. They got a fresh lemon. They were playing with it. Watch his hand. It goes right through the lemon. Okay. That's called augmented reality. They're playing with CGI objects. Okay. Or it's called augmented reality. So if I show you, where is it?
I got a question though. So
ahead.
like you see how you say about the CGI. I don't think technology was as advanced back then to be doing all this sort of CGI.
Well, this is just recent. The stuff I'm showing you before, they're not using Photoshop. They're using garbage. They're using everything I showed you could be done with paper and cardboard and and a camera in a dark room, right?
No, but I'm saying when they were doing the moon landing, and for example, how you say how they faked it.
Yeah.
I don't think CGI was really advanced back in the 60s.
It wasn't. That's why it's so awful. Go look at the moon landing footage. It's the worst thing ever. Okay, it's so grainy and it's crappy, and there's nothing that even looks CGI about it. Matter of fact, they gave us this. This is the famous picture of Saturn that's in every textbook, but they didn't have Photoshop back then, and they didn't expect us to have Photoshop now. Where we took this off of their website, put it into Photoshop, cranked up the levels, and you can see that it's a whole bunch of stuff stuck together, photographed. They didn't realize that these blacks weren't as black as this black, and when we crank up the levels, you can see the difference. We catch them.
Yeah, but why would they fake the moon landing? Just like
for the same reason, because they want you to believe you live on a ball. They want you to never to discover that you are at the center of creation and that we are here in this expanded plane. They don't want us defecting when tyranny hits and going out to the other lands. And this tyranny hits every 100 years. In 1720, the plague. In 1820. They had cholera. 1920 Spanish flu. Everybody was getting this and everybody was wearing this. Yeah. Okay. And everybody died. Yeah. Okay. And now 2020, the same thing again and again and again. Right. And if you guys keep asking why, you're not getting it. This is the most important lie. It's a way to control our minds. Right. And the idea of saying that we didn't have good enough CGI, you're not looking at it. There's no CGI involved in the moon landing. It's crap. Okay. They never even showed us a live feed from the moon. They showed us the people at Mission Control. It went back to a place in Australia, I think, and then it was transmitted somewhere else. Then it was displayed on a black and white TV, and then all of the press had to film that TV. They didn't even get a live feed. Okay. That way you can't do stuff like this to see the deception, right? There's so many things that prove it, I mean, scientifically, we don't even have to speculate. Like on the moon, this is the moon. This brightness looks 238,000 miles away. Well, light gets dimmer over time exponentially. Every time you double the distance, it's a quarter of the brightness. How is this bright, casting shadows on the ground? How am I able to read by this when it's really this 238,000 miles away? If you use the inverse square law of light, when you get to 100 miles of the moon, you're like hundreds of millions of lumens, which would melt your eyes. Okay. That's how bright the moon would need to be for it to look this bright from Earth. That's doing science. People don't like doing science.
That could just be their camera.
Yeah, but don't forget about the sun as well.
What about the sun?
you're a bit closer to the sun when you're actually in the solar system compared to if you're actually flat on Earth,
you're just saying things that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you have a lit an object this bright, and as I move it away, it's going to get dimmer and dimmer, and you're not going to be able to see it. It's not going to be casting light on you. This light, this would have to be millions of times brighter than how we see it from Earth for this to exist. Science proves that. Science doesn't deny it. They just don't like talking about it. Okay. And then if you want to talk about,
that's not necessarily true, bro. That's not necessarily true. I mean, that picture right there, if I turn the shutter speed down on the camera, turn the ISO down, it's going to look dimmer. You know what I'm saying? If I expose a picture all the way, the picture's going to look bright.
Wait, so will it go to 10 million lumens? And I'm underestimating. You know what a lumen is? You know, 5,000 lumens will blind you, I think, right? 10 million, it has to be 10 million lumens. You couldn't turn the exposure down because if it was as bright as it needs to be for us to see this, the camera would vaporize from the light, okay? We're not even talking settings. We're talking common sense. Don't trade in your common sense for nonsense.
But this is my problem and this is why I kind of had to separate myself from the flat Earth whole thing, because with that sentence right there, there's so much to break down and there's so much to get into and actually really look at. But flat earthers don't like doing that. They just like saying this fact that they heard from something and moving on to the next point. Like,
nope,
this is a
you're generalizing. You're wrong. There are people that do that.
I'm just saying from this one conversation,
I'm showing you here. This is scientific. This is science that you can do yourself. Look up the inverse square law of light. If you're looking at the full moon on a clear night, and let's just say it's 1 lumen, it's not, it's probably like 20 lumens, but we'll give the ball the benefit. If it was 1 lumen, how bright would it need to be for us to see it at 1 lumen if it's 238,000 miles away? And the answer is tens of millions of lumens. This is not tens of millions of lumens. Okay. That's the scientific answer, but nobody wants to address that. So you say, well, flat earthers just say this. No, flat earthers use science, right? Here's something flat earthers just say.
You said it's science. You said it's science, but you just said it's science. You know
no, I'm telling you, go look up the inverse square law of light, look up the distance they tell us the moon is, and tell me how that thing can be this bright. The only way it could be this bright is if it was tens of millions of lumens. Go look it up yourself. We have to move on. What are the odds?
That's the problem. We always move on and we haven't looked up. That could be bullshit. That could be complete bullshit. We don't know.
Okay, go look it up. I say move on. I'm saying go look it up. Prove it yourself. Prove me wrong. No one's doing it though. What are the chances that the NASA advisor, an astronaut, a sci-fi writer, a movie director, and the senior administrator of the Apollo projects are all together in Hollywood just before the movie? Well, the movie of the moon landing, yes.
Yeah, but that can't really be proved that obviously the thing was fake. Like it could just easily be a coincidence.
I'll give you that. It's a coincidence. How many coincidences?
It can be. No, I'm saying it can be.
I'm saying it is a coincidence. How many coincidences do you need to realize that you're being lied to on every single level by NASA? There's no photos of Earth. They're faking weightlessness on the space station. They're telling us that we're spinning in an impossible vacuum with a pressurized atmosphere with no enclosure. All of these things are scientifically impossible.
So your belief of, or your view, sorry, not belief, it's a view, is because they're the minority, as in the governments and all the
higher ups.
Yeah. Higher class of higher ups. I think they're all.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you think you're saying that this is them part is a part of what they're trying to keep us under control with, right?
Yeah. If you knew your true potential, if you knew that nobody has rule over you, nobody can tell you what to do, that nobody is entitled to your energy earned by working, that nobody can interfere with your free will, you would be pretty unruly. They don't want unruly little slaves. They want slaves that believe that they are truly slaves and they deserve to be slaves. And that's where the world is right now, right? The truth is, we don't have to.
Here, I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, this is how they control us, through the helio-nonsensical soul lure system. They're literally trying to steal our God-given soul from us with the soul lure system, which is the most ridiculous thing nobody would ever believe it if you understood what it was. It's the dumbest thing ever, and it's provably impossible. Provably. I mean, you were talking about the brightness and the size of stars. Think about this. The sun is this giant ball next to a tiny, we're tiny and the sun is giant. This is the proportion that they tell us. Okay. If the sun was just as high as the clouds, it would fill the entire sky. It would be gigantic. That's how, right? It would, just because it's so close, it would be so big. You look up, you'd only be able to see the sun. Agreed? You with me?
I mean,
how close do I need it to fill the entire sky?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And then, so then you move the sun away, it gets smaller, and you move it 93 million miles away where they tell you it is, and it's the size of a coin held at arm's length. Okay, pretty much. The sun is a little dot in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I say if you doubled the distance, you couldn't see it because its angular size would get so small. But let's be super safe. 24 times the distance. Okay. There's no way you could see it, scientifically provably that you could see it. And the brightness issue with the inverse square law of light, that's a whole nother problem. 24 times away is 3 light hours. Okay. So if the sun was 3 light hours away, it's scientifically provable, impossible to see. Now let's look at Polaris. Polaris is 46 times bigger than the sun. Okay. So let's call that 48 times bigger. Right. And so it would have to be 48 times farther, which is 2 light days times 3, 6 light days away. We could not see Polaris. Scientifically provable. We could not see Polaris if it was 6 light days away. Do you know how far they tell us Polaris is? 433 light years away. Wrap your mind around that. Okay. And we could see it with our naked eye. Give me a break. That is brainwashing. If anyone that tries to defend that you could see a star that far away at that size is brainwashed.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of debates, to be fair, about the light years.
Why couldn't you see it at that distance?
I don't know much about it.
Because it's just like a penny. I think a penny, the farthest you can see it with your naked eye is, 200 yards or 2 miles, whatever it is. And so things get smaller over distance. A match or a candle flame can be seen. I think a candle flame is 2 miles or something like that. And then its angular size gets too small for your eye to resolve. Same thing with these things in the sky. 6 light days away, you could not see Polaris. And it's 433 light years away. Okay, let's call it 6 months, 6 light months.
No, but that's the thing. You can't see it. You can't see if Polaris switched off right now.
No. We're not talking that. That's a cool story.
Years.
Listen, you're telling the story of
it
light.
would still be there. It could be gone. All the stars we see right now could be gone.
You are parroting a story that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't care if we're seeing it a billion years ago or we're seeing it currently. We couldn't see it because it's too small. Right? You're defending your worldview because of programming.
I'm not defending any. I don't have a worldview.
No, but what you're saying.
This is the problem with this conversation. You think I have an agenda. I don't have an agenda.
No, I got it.
Whoa. This is the problem. You get pissed off for asking questions and people going, "Oh, you're stupid." Then when people do the same thing back, "Oh no, no." You have to answer my questions if I ask you a question. That's the reason why I don't get involved with the flat Earth thing.
I'm with you. So you're talking about how the lights that we see in the stars are they're gone millions of years ago, and that
if that theory is correct, yes, that's what the theory says.
I'm
not with it. I'm just saying that's what the theory says.
Yeah, I say cool story, bro. Okay, because it's just a story. It's just a freaking story, dude. It's just a story.
Okay.
Right? It's just a story, and these are things. The things that Globers defend are unprovable. I'm showing you that you could not see something that small. I'm sorry.
But a star isn't just something.
They get smaller and smaller.
It illuminates light as well.
As things go away, they get smaller and smaller. As lights move away, they get dimmer and dimmer exponentially. Forget the dimming. Let's just assume they get brighter and brighter.
But why do they get dim? That's the question.
Why does sound get quieter and quieter over
because of the atmosphere, and there's no atmosphere in space. That's why stars don't get dim. They only get dim.
So why does the sun get? Why is the sun so small?
Because of the atmosphere.
No. Why is the sun so small?
Because it's far away, according to the theory.
Okay, but it's far away in space. So forget the brightness. I'm with you. I ignore the brightness. The size of the sun could not be seen at 6 light hours away or 3 light hours away. Okay. The same for Polaris. I'm not, Polaris.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You're not talking about the actual brightness. You're talking about the actual the circle.
The size would get so small that you could not see it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just like, when people say, boats go over the horizon, the size of this boat is so small, you can't see it. But as we zoom in, making it bigger and bigger, all of a sudden you can see it because your eye can now resolve it. Right. So it's the same with the sun. It goes away and it gets so small, you couldn't see it. Again, these are things that science can prove. Right. You want to believe that we went to the moon, but you can see that they're faking everything. Like this ball, he drops it and it falls. Now that ball was filled with helium, but it wasn't balanced right. And he let it go and it fell. Everyone freaked out. So like, leave it alone. These guys are all hanging from harnesses, from waist harnesses.
No, I've seen a lot of fake shit with these guys. I don't trust.
Why are they faking it? Why are they faking it?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
That's a good question. That's what I'm trying to ask you. Why they're faking it?
Yeah, well, they're faking it to make us believe we live on a ball, make us believe that there is no God, make us believe that we are an insignificant specks and that we have no control over our lives. This is the most technological advanced project built ever. It's built in space. It's built by different countries. Okay. Never once did they build it on Earth. Did they test it on Earth? Did they put it together on Earth and make sure it worked? There was different modules from different countries. And so they had to make an adapter by a third party to adapt these things to fit together. Never tested on Earth. They put it into space. They got guys floating around in space, putting it together. Not a single photo or video of it being built. It would be the most filmed construction project ever. There's not a single photo of it being built.
I totally agree with that. I've always wondered that myself. Like, why don't they just slap a flipping GoPro on the side of it so we can see everything that happens?
Right. And that's because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Augmented reality. Yeah. Balloon again with helium, fake stuffed animal. Okay. And she's manipulating it. It's called augmented reality. It's not there. She's playing with it. Why are they faking things that float? And the answer is, this is how they do it. Leap motion, augmented reality. Right? They're manipulating projects. It's like when they did the movie Gravity, the girl's twisting nothing, but then in the movie, she's twisting a big valve. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the green screen technology that they have now is sick. They can do anything. This truck doesn't exist. Here comes a truck. Doesn't exist. Not there. But if you told somebody that, they go, "Oh, it's real. It's real." If you didn't see the top of this, this part, you would think it's all real, but she's just standing there. Okay. Again, it's so easy to fake people. Like why should we believe that, whenever they show us the Earth, they never show us the whole Earth from the space station. Why should we believe this is the Earth? There's no land. There's no land.
It's a good question.
Right? Where's the land?
Well, we can't see because it's from distance.
Well, you could also say we're over the ocean, but the truth is it's really easy to fool people because NASA with their $65 million didn't film this. We did it with zero budget from our front lawn. We just turned it upside down. Okay. That's all it is. And people are easily fooled by this, right? People are easily fooled by all of this nonsense. When they show us, these guys in the space station, look at him, he becomes transparent. Why is he transparent? Cosmic rays? He's transparent because on a zero G plane, there's no right-hand turn. There's only a straight hallway, right? And they do some of their filming on 0G, some of it hanging from wires. There's answers to everything. You clearly see that the sun doesn't go down; it moves away. This is super sped up. This is in Africa on the high plains, and there's no humidity in the air, so we don't get the sun cut off by the atmospheric deck of opacity. It just disappears. Fool on the hill.
But couldn't you zoom in and still see the sun?
No, because eventually it goes by what's called the atmospheric deck of opacity. And let me show you what that is.
It can't make it through the actual
atmosphere, right? Even on a clear day, becomes clear. So it becomes opaque. So here, this line is a level line, and I'm filming this from a celestial point of view, and I'm just moving the sun across. Now, this is the atmospheric deck of opacity or a mountain or whatever it is. If you're on the Earth, it's higher than your eye level, but this never goes below it. Now I got another camera on the other end of my flat Earth counter, and it's on a terrestrial point of view. And if I showed you this first and said, is this line level or is it going down? You would say it's going down. but this is the same path. It's just filmed from a different point of view. And this atmospheric deck of opacity would be at your eye level 20, 30, 40 miles away. Okay. So this atmospheric deck of opacity eclipses. Now, if I can't zoom in through it because it's opaque. So if I had the friggin' Hubble telescope, I couldn't zoom in. Now let's watch it compared to a real sunset. Here's a real sunset. You think this is the horizon, but here's the atmospheric deck of opacity that it's going by. But from the beach, if you're watching this, you won't see this space. This is all compressed. Only when you zoom in on it can you see it. It's setting just like this, okay? The sun looks like it's going down, but it's just going away. Just going away.
It's interesting, to be fair.
Yeah, and we have all of these observations where we can at different people say, I've never seen the sun like that, because you're watching the sunset over the ocean where there's always the atmospheric deck of opacity. You're not seeing it from altitude. From a good altitude, you can watch the sun and it just goes away. It's not going down, it's just going away. And then eventually down here, the ether band just becomes so compressed that the sun will literally disappear behind it like that. Right. And here it goes. It's getting dimmer because it's going farther, more to push through. And then it kind of just gets cut off right there. Right. I just did a video the other day from my drone, and it shows the sun just sitting on the horizon for 20 friggin' minutes when it should have dropped, another 5 degrees, and it didn't.
You have made some valid points, to be fair.
Yeah. Here's one for you. Here's a rocket that actually an amateur rocket that didn't have like edit like NASA does. And it went up 73 miles straight up. And when it did, it went kerplunk. It went into something. It hit something viscous like plasma or liquid or something, and it stopped spinning. That was interesting, but that's not the real interesting thing about this. This is in the Western United States in Arizona. It was shot up. Okay. So it went up, and then when it turned on its side, all of a sudden we can see across the Earth plane, and here comes the moon. Now, why does the moon look so small also, right? So, but here's the moon. That's not the interesting part. The moon was over Australia, not over Australia. What's that? New Zealand. Sorry. It was over New Zealand at the time. So if I'm on the top of the ball on Australia, on top of a basketball, the Earth is a basketball, I'm 1/4 of a millimeter over that basketball, and New Zealand's underneath the basketball. How the heck did I see the moon? Unless the Earth is flat.
Good question.
And then talk about optics. Are these tables the same size and the same shape?
No.
Yes, they are. They don't look it. You put that piece of paper on it, turn it sideways. It's all perspective. It's all the way our mind works. So saying that looks bigger, that looks smaller, in fact, you can put a friggin' ruler on it. You can't say what it is unless you can touch it. You don't know which way it's going. If you're looking up through the sky, you can make theories. We can do experiments that show the star rotation, getting back to that, that works perfectly on a flat Earth. Here's the thing. You guys ever hear the Georgia Guidestones? Probably not.
No.
Here in America, in the 1980s, this weird Stonehenge-like structure was built, for millions of dollars. And it has, besides having the marching orders of the New World Order on it, it has a little hole in one of them, if I could find it. And when you look through it, so when you look through this hole right here, it's a long, thin hole. If you look through it, you see Polaris, the North Star. Remember, we're corkscrewing through an infinite universe. But when you look through that hole, you see Polaris. You do a time lapse, all the stars spin around. And it's been up for over 40 years. How are we corkscrewing through a friggin' universe, seeing a star 433 light years away, which is impossible to see, and it never moves from that hole? And that's because the Earth doesn't move. There's no such thing as continental drift. There's no such thing as Earth spin. There's no such thing as orbits. There's nothing. The Earth is stationary, does not move. Everything in the sky is circling around us, around a center point that is called Polaris.
Okay, well, I got one last question, because I know we got to wrap up pretty soon, innit? But how come certain constellations aren't visible during certain times of year at certain locations?
Yeah, and that's because I will explain. Oops, here we go. Oh boy. Oh, I can't show you that. So the stars are the sun and the moon circle around over the flat earth. So I'm trying to find well, I can show you in this, I guess. So the sun and the moon are small and close. They circle around over the flat earth. The stars are also spinning around above us at almost the same speed as the sun. Okay, almost the same speed as the sun, but they're going slightly faster where they take they'll lap the sun once a year. So right now, let's say Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer is right here with the stars. Well, you can't with the sun. Nobody can see the Tropic of Cancer because it's always in the day sky. But over here, we have the Tropic of Capricorn, which is spinning. Everyone can see the Tropic of Capricorn. 6 months later, Capricorn will be over here with the sun. No one will be able to see Capricorn, and everybody will be able to see Cancer because Cancer would be over here in the night sky. That is the reason why you can't see.
So you said they move almost the same speed.
Almost, but they lap the sun, just like the sun laps the moon once every 28 days. The Capricorn, not Capricorn, the stars lap the sun once a year. Okay, and so when the stars are in the lit part of the sky, you can't see them. Nobody can see them.
That makes sense.
Everything makes sense.
But I just want this. I want to have one last crack at understanding this because I'm not against flat Earth. If I could understand this, I might even come back to flat Earth. But I just need to get my head around this. If you're sitting at South, keep that map up on your screen right now with the rotating Earth. If you're sitting there at South America, at the peninsula of South America, and you're facing south,
how can you see the Southern Cross?
Well, why do you see all the stars rotate around a certain point? That's what I don't. It's
the optics of the sky. It literally they wrap around. It's because of the optics of the sky. Go watch the star rotation videos, and it'll show you how things look like they're going in circles when they're actually not. They're just going by, but you're seeing them bend around, and that has to do with the optics of the dome and our personal dome of vision, right? But I thought you were going to ask, how can somebody be here in Santiago and at midnight look up and see the Southern Cross, and then somebody here at midnight look up and see the Southern Cross?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when it's noon, when it's midnight here, it's noon over here. Okay. So at midnight, I look up from Santiago, I see the Southern Cross. Awesome. 6 hours later, or 12 hours later, it's midnight over here, and the stars have done a half a circle. And now the Southern Cross is over here. He looks up, midnight, he sees the Southern Cross. He's looking south. He's looking south. South is every way away from the center. And so the stars just rotate into place. It makes perfect sense once you understand it.
So none of the 2 points could see the cross at the same time. So say it was
no, they can't see it at the same time. They see it 12 hours apart.
Okay. Well, I need to look into that, but
well, it's very
that would make sense. That would
when
make
it's
sense.
Noon here, it's midnight here. When it's noon here, it's midnight here.
Yeah, but like then you look at South Africa and South America, it gets dark-ish around the same time, innit? Not same time, but it's dark.
Well, no, because the Southern Cross can be over here, and you can look over here and they can see it, and they can look over here and they can see it. So they're looking at different directions, but they're looking at something on the horizon. These guys are looking at it, centered. These guys are looking at it far away.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It, again, makes perfect sense, but it's not like for me, there's just more questions to ask. Is more research that you got to do to get to the bottom of these statements, innit? But if everything you're saying is true, it makes perfect sense.
It does.
But that's the big question. That's
right.
What you got to do. You got to ask.
Right. So the thing is, if you Google flat Earth, I looked into flat Earth. I Googled it. You can't find anything. You search top 10 reasons the Earth could be flat. You're going to get top 10 reasons the Earth is a globe. Right. You try to search. You can spend 500 hours. You're going to find 2 hours worth of good content because they've taken so many turds and put them in the punch bowl. You can't find anything, and their algorithms only feed you propaganda now. You can't find anything. That's why my app, the featured video of the day, will I tell people, watch the featured video of the day every day for 2 weeks, and you too will lose the respect of your friends and family because you will be a flat earther, right? But all of the questions are answered in there. Tons of stuff on Tataria, which you guys should look into, which is the civilization that lived here before us, not that long ago, maybe 100, 150 years ago. And, don't believe the nonsense. Use your common sense. Don't say, I don't have a degree. I can't make any decisions for myself. The people that have degrees are indoctrinated. Doctors are indoctrinated. Okay. They're indoctrinated with whoever can memorize the Rockefeller published bullshit the best becomes the professor, becomes the doctor. Okay. It's all nonsense. And it's to take away our divinity. It's to keep us sick, keep us slaves, keep us mind controlled. And that's the whole agenda of the bankers, the elites, the Bilderbergs, the United Nations. Those are the people that are ruling our world.
To be honest, this has been interesting. After this episode, I'm definitely going to look into a bit more, and obviously I have my own opinion on it. But
likewise,
apart from that, thank you a lot for your time. It's been a very informative episode.
And you can find me at theflatearthpodcast.com. All my links are there. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Make sure it's by Blue Water Bay with this icon, because they already have a Flat Earth Society knockoff of it out there, which won't teach you anything. So if you get that, don't send me an email telling me my app sucks, because my app is the highest rated app in the App Store and the Google Play Store. You need iPhone 6 or better and Android 8.0 or higher. And if you guys get the app right now, I'm having a server issue today. It might not load. It might not go. I need 24 hours. I got to fix it. So, first time I've had an issue. So, if anyone's listening to this or you guys try that, it should be up by later today, hopefully.
Okay.
All right.
Guys, we will be plugging David's social media so you can check him out.
Thank you.
Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and subscribe. Support the channel and also support his channel. And maybe sometime you come on again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks. See ya.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock app. A dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth. And clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.